Ryan Reynolds is the brain behind all of these subpoenas. Maybe him and Nick Shapiro has been sitting together, like, how can we punish these people?
Intro 1. Attorney recently unveiled that Ryan Reynolds illicitly disclosed classified legal documents through a covert burner email prior to the commencement of discovery, violating major federal regulations. The controversy escalated rapidly.
Ryan Reynolds is now trying to bully the court to try to put financial pressure on Justin Baldoni. You were the ones who started the lawsuit.
He's now barred from attending Blake Lively's deposition due to combative, manipulative conduct, and Disney's reportedly preparing to sever ties. His entire brand is unraveling. Behind closed doors, Ryan acts less like a superhero and more like a tech-savvy Hollywood villain armed with Wi-Fi and a throwaway email. Let's dismantle that polished persona, because this isn't a feel-good blockbuster. It's pure sabotage. It all kicked off with a burner email. Not a slick agency report or a court-sealed document, but a suspicious-looking Gmail imitation. And what did Ryan use it for? Forwarding private deposition transcripts and unreleased film clips to an outside PR agency. Sensitive data that's supposed to remain secure in an ongoing federal court dispute. And here's the kicker. The leaks happened before discovery even got underway. He didn't wait for court protocol. He launched a legal sneak attack behind the judge's back. So, who exposed it? Not an investigator, not a reporter, and definitely not Justin Baldwin's camp. It was Mike Gotortal, the very legal counsel Ryan hired to contain the chaos. The man took one look and decided, I'm not risking jail time for this circus. Ryan and Blake thought they could script the courtroom, but Gotortal sliced the puppet strings and set them ablaze. He quickly saw he was being used as a media shield to derail Baldwin's legal push and refused to play along. The burner email wasn't just a shady PR trick. It held detailed commands like, quote, erase anything connecting Taylor, Hugh, or the team. And of course, erase the metadata. That's not family protection. That's a full-scale cleanup operation straight out of a spy thriller, tampering with evidence, exporting media assets, and sending them to a firm designed to repackage garbage as gold. That's not just unethical, it's criminal. Now here's where it escalates. Ryan Reynolds didn't just commit a courtroom faux pas. He violated federal law. Specifically Rule 11 of Civil Procedure, abuse of legal process, and breached a protective order. Established in March 2020. The same order that says leaking private materials during litigation is a no-go. With all his billion-dollar endorsements and Marvel contracts, you'd think Ryan would get that. But apparently, contract law isn't as thrilling as joking about gin on social media. Now insiders confirm that this scandal has triggered a federal obstruction inquiry. Ryan could face a 5-year sentence just on that count. And truthfully, that might be his most memorable performance since Deadpool 2, except now the outfit is orange, and the fourth wall is made of cinder blocks. But this rabbit hole goes deeper. Because when you leak sealed documents before discovery, you don't just bend the rules, you demolish them. Ryan's actions fall under evidence tampering and witness manipulation. Charges that can carry up to 20 years if prosecutors go hard. This isn't celebrity drama. This is felony-level interference in a federal court process. The courtroom isn't a tweet thread. You can't spin a narrative, then vanish into applause. But Ryan didn't stop there. He doubled down, focusing on PR warfare while his legal team filed motions accusing Baldwin's case of wasting time, all while handing off privileged data to media strategists. That's not a legal defense, that's a full-blown attack on due process dressed in a designer tux. Insiders tied to the case say Disney's furious. They've launched their own internal probe based on the morality clause in Ryan's contract. You know, the clause that basically says, if you humiliate the brand, you're out faster than a flopped Pixar sequel. And yes, it's binding. Disney doesn't care how many gin sales or sarcastic birthday posts you rack up. Blake. When their public image is on the line, you're either playing your part or you're disposable. And if that morals clause gets activated, here's what Ryan stands to lose: criminal charges, public courtroom disgrace, a $250,000 penalty, the collapse of his Marvel agreement, and don't forget his entire business empire. Aviation Gin, Maximum Effort Productions, Mint Mobile Influence, all gone. Deadpool 3 might just become his final appearance, except this time the audience is a jury. And his only costume swap will be into prison attire. But hold on, Reynolds wasn't done humiliating himself. Enter the penalty circus. Yep. Ryan and Blake, apparently unsatisfied with leaking documents behind closed doors, went nuclear in open court. They filed for financial penalties specifically intended to bankrupt Justin Bolden. Not because Bolden's claims lack substance, not because the judge deemed it frivolous, but because the case was inconvenient for Ryan's reputation, and let's be honest, his Deadpool 3 marketing calendar. They even tried to convince the judge to skip discovery entirely. You heard that right. Ryan's legal reps basically said, "Hey judge, can we bypass due process? It's not great for our image." Seriously? Mike Gotortal, still the only grown-up involved, refused to co-sign the stunt. He called it legal self-destruction and told Ryan straight up, "If you want someone to commit legal suicide for PR, go find another sucker." That right there. A seasoned attorney done playing handler for a rich celebrity who thinks court is just another content platform where you post your side, slap on a filter, and wait for applause. This sanctions stunt broke fundamental legal norms. You don't file for penalties before depositions begin. You don't try to ruin your opponent financially before they've had a chance to respond. And you definitely don't do it because your publicist is panicking. But that's precisely what Ryan did, and the judge noticed. Requesting sanctions under false pretenses isn't just poor form, it's potential abuse of process and could get Ryan's own lawyers sanctioned too. And let's be real, this wasn't a defense strategy. This was a tantrum. A legal meltdown dressed up in courtroom language. Ryan's true message to the court? I'm wealthy, I'm famous, and this lawsuit's inconvenient. Make it vanish. That's not defense. That's raw entitlement on display. But the mask is slipping. The guy who sold us the wisecracking antihero is now standing in front of a judge trying to spin leaking files, tampering with proof, and financially strangling his opponent as some clever PR maneuver. It's not. And if the justice system works like it's supposed to, Ryan Reynolds won't walk away with a grin and a zinger. He'll be facing a mugshot, a fed-up lawyer who stopped pretending to be on his side, and a legal system ready to school him harder than any Disney memo ever could. Here's where it gets extra juicy. Think Ryan's having a bad week? Let's peek into Disney's boardroom. Because Bob Iger's corporate fury is about as soft as a steel-toed boot. Insiders say Bob's not just irritated, he's furious. And when the boss of a global entertainment titan starts boiling over one of his premium stars dragging Mickey Mouse through the legal mud, it's not a warning. It's Disney silently handing Ryan a shovel and nodding at the grave he's digging. Deadpool 3 was meant to be a cash cow, the perfect cocktail of edgy humor and mainstream money, full of snark, stunts, and celebrity cameos. But instead of building buzz, the press is drowning in legal drama, subpoena headlines, and Blake Lively peddling shampoo while getting dragged for allegedly launching subpoena warfare on YouTubers. Not exactly aligned with Disney's brand of wholesome values, diversity pledges, and carefully curated fairy dust. Here's the stinger. Ryan's deal didn't even originate at Disney. It came via the Fox acquisition. He slipped in with all his baggage still packed. But Disney anticipated disaster. That's why they've got a handy little escape pod, the morals clause. In short, if your antics turn Mickey into a meme, they can cut ties. Quietly, cleanly. No press conference. No hugs. No happy montage. Marketing teams are panicking. There's serious concern that the Deadpool 3 campaign, which should have been a blockbuster printing press, is now polluted. Every online search brings up subpoenas, lawsuits, influencer targeting, and Ryan's face floating between shampoo ads and courtroom transcripts. And Blake dropping a totally tone-deaf haircare line in the midst of it. That's the PR equivalent of tripping into a wedding cake. No one's clapping. Everyone's stunned. But here's the ice-cold twist. Disney can't just yank Ryan's contract overnight. That'd trigger ugly headlines and messy litigation. So instead, insiders say they're planning what's being called a silent cancellation. What's that? It's brutal. You technically still have a chair at the table, but no one's giving you a plate. No new deals. No fresh projects. You slowly vanish from the frame until all that's left are expired voiceovers and forgotten endorsements. Welcome to Hollywood Siberia. Ryan. One insider even put it plainly. He still has a seat at the table, but no one's inviting him to dinner. And honestly, that's the most savage line of the whole saga. Skip the lawsuits. Skip the press drama. Being ghosted by Disney? That's how careers die without sound. Now, let's dive into Blake and her subpoena spree. Because what's a Hollywood meltdown without dragging in the internet's favorite scapegoat? Blake's legal squad didn't just toss out a few subpoenas. They carpet-bombed the content creator world with 16 legal threats hitting names like Paris Hilton, Andy Sr., and Candace Owens. But they didn't stop with famous influencers. No, they went after a freaking astrology YouTube channel with only 300 subscribers. Why? Because nothing screams justice like legally harassing a woman who reads star charts online. It was never about fairness. This was textbook intimidation, a coordinated move to silence voices and fire off a warning: speak out, and we'll bury you in court docs. Talk about us, and we'll drag you into federal chaos. Small content creators were suddenly hit with demands for credit card details, banking records, and private account info, not for leaking anything, not for violating any laws, but simply for discussing the lawsuit. One creator, Sash Flow, summed it up perfectly: this is a threat to the entire creator economy. And she's absolutely right. If Blake and Ryan can hit anyone with subpoenas just for asking questions, what's next? Instagram comments? TikTok jokes? Cough the wrong way about Deadpool, and you're drowning in legal paperwork. Here's the ironic twist. Blake's own attorney, Ezra Hudson, once delivered a polished seminar about, wait for it, freedom of speech in the workplace. Total poetic justice. But when the subpoena scandal erupted, that same seminar magically vanished from the law firm's site. Click the link now and it's like it never existed. Page not found, just like their credibility. But the court noticed. And now, those subpoenas are being reviewed for potential legal abuse, with specific reference to Rule 45 of Civil Procedure. Translation: Blake's legal stunt may have just backfired in epic fashion. Then it escalated further. A federal judge stepped in and said, enough is enough. No more harassment of YouTubers. No more document scavenger hunts. The judge imposed a strict schedule. Document production ends July 25. Motions to compel due by August 1. All depositions wrapped by September 30. Blake's legal team tried to push back. They threw everything they had. Missing audio, vague safety concerns, and even a 400-page motion portraying Brian Friedman as a threat due to a completely unrelated Vin Diesel harassment case. It was like watching a courtroom collide with a soap opera script. The judge wasn't buying any of it. That 400-page motion, tossed out as irrelevant, dismissed like soggy legal pasta. All their excuses, security fears, no audio, scheduling issues, rejected. Clean. Cold. Exactly like Disney's plan for Ryan. Bob Iger is ready to sever ties. Disney's PR squad is on red alert over Deadpool 3. Blake turned subpoenas into digital weapons and launched them at Creators for Sport. Her lawyer deleted a free speech lecture faster than Ryan deletes accountability. And the court? They've had it. No more extensions. No more courtroom theater. No more manipulation. The subpoenas? Dead. The deadlines? Set in stone. Control of the narrative? No longer in Blake and Ryan's hands. Ryan Reynolds thought he could waltz into the deposition room and play the loyal husband/PR puppet master. Not anymore. On July 17th, he was officially barred from attending Blake Lively's deposition. Yes, banned, like an out-of-control relative who just got uninvited from a wedding. And why? A protective order. Issued in March 2024. The message is clear: we don't trust you anywhere near this testimony. And they're right. Ryan isn't even a legal party to the case anymore. Under attorney's eyes only protections, he can't view any evidence. That's not just a limitation, it's a legal muzzle. This isn't about celebrity anymore. This is about integrity process, and stopping the kind of behind-the-scenes tampering Hollywood is infamous for. The court clearly believes Ryan's presence would taint the testimony. And the whispers behind the scenes say this isn't just about legal status, this is about Ryan's erratic, aggressive behavior that's been brewing for years. Want evidence? Let's rewind to the change-up set. A whistleblower, an extra, came forward saying Ryan screamed at a crew member, accused him of spying, and had a full-blown paranoid breakdown. The crew member had his hands up, terrified. Ryan treated the set like a CIA takedown. That's not quirky. That's unstable. And now the court's worried he'll bring that same volatility into Blake's deposition. They're afraid he'll intimidate her, signal answers during breaks, or try to sway her statement. These aren't wild guesses, they're realistic concerns based on how federal depositions work. This isn't a film set. There's no director. No do-overs. This is sworn testimony. And it leads us straight to the slow, public implosion that is Ryan and Blake's marriage. Insiders are saying it outright: it's over. The only time they appear together now is for curated PR. Events, photo shoots, red carpet appearances, social posts, all carefully staged. And even that's starting to crack. Blake launched a shampoo brand right in the middle of Ryan's legal implosion, and fans noticed. They asked, why is she selling conditioner while Ryan's in court? It's like running an ad during a funeral. The internet doesn't buy the power couple narrative anymore. What once looked like playful teasing now looks like two actors clinging to a collapsing PR deal. Gossip forums are suggesting their marriage was always a brand strategy, not a love story. And honestly, it checks out. Squeaky clean for 10 years. Too clean. Ryan's bromance with Hugh Jackman feels more genuine than his dynamic with Blake. Watch the old red carpet clips, the sarcastic birthday jokes, the roast your husband gimmicks. They feel less romantic and more rehearsed. Like a marketing campaign, not a marriage. Now the public's asking the real question, was any of it ever real? Meanwhile, Ryan's empire is rotting from the inside. The social media king can't even handle feedback anymore. His Instagram comments? Disabled. People called it exactly what it is, a panic move. Not about boundaries. Not about wellness. About control. The backlash was too loud, too cutting, too true. Ryan's ego cracked. And his legal strategy? It's an embarrassment. They're filing motions that sound like YouTube headlines, accusing Baldoni of circus lawsuits, while simultaneously refusing discovery and having full-blown meltdowns in court. That's not legal defense. That's public relations in a cheap disguise. Ryan's trying to financially bleed Baldoni, bury the evidence, and drag this thing into the shadows. But he can't. Not anymore. Eyes are on him now. His reputation used to be his biggest asset, clever, self-aware, the guy who could joke through anything. Now? That same humor feels like a mask. A crumbling shield for a man terrified of being held accountable. The audience isn't laughing anymore. They're side-eyeing. They're skeptical. And when public trust breaks, it doesn't come back with a Deadpool meme or a gin ad. Hollywood runs on one currency, reputation. And Ryan's account is in the red. We've reached the endgame. The last scene. The moment when the internet's favorite husband isn't chasing box office. He's running from accountability. Ryan's not trying to win in court. He's trying to hide from discovery, from sworn testimony, from the consequences. He's thrown every stunt he can, sanctions, delays, PR leaks, desperate motions, all designed to kill the truth. And if even one of those motions is declared bogus, the court could slam his team with penalties, reopen old charges, and worst of all, trigger the Disney morals clause. That clause? It's been hanging over him like a guillotine. And every panicked misstep brings it closer to falling point. One more reckless move, one more courtroom eye roll, and Disney won't just drop him. They'll erase him, quietly, brutally, for good. And while Ryan's team scrambles to control the story, Baldoni's investigators are working behind the scenes. They've already spoken to over a dozen insiders. People who witnessed the rage, the threats, the manipulation, the cover-ups. And insiders say, the worst hasn't even come out yet. The media's closing in. The creators Ryan and Blake tried to muzzle. They're louder than ever. Blake's disappeared from the spotlight, only resurfacing to push her product line. And Ryan? He's pacing the courthouse like a man watching everything he built crumble in front of him. The fans aren't cheering. The headlines aren't glowing. The trust is gone. And Ryan's still clinging to an old script, hoping sarcasm will save him. But this isn't Deadpool. This isn't a character arc. This is collapse. And reputational damage. That's permanent. You can't bounce back with a clever tweet. You can't mend this with another cheeky joke. Because now, the audience that once cheered is watching silently. And silence hits harder than applause. If you want the truth they're trying to bury, hit subscribe. Because this story is far from over.